reflections on what inculturation is. Implantation of values, customs, forms into another already existing culture, with several elements to be considered, like the fact that all cultures change in the course of time, that therefore it's not easy to find out what is the essential of the culture, what is just a form which is changing anyways, see? And this is a valid aspect from the culture we come from, as well as from the culture we want to inculturate into. And very importantly also the time factor, that inculturation takes time. And it depends a little bit on the receptivity of the people. You cannot inculturate as true as it might be too quickly, because the people with their receptivity have to come along. All these aspects we have already looked at. Let's become now more concretely. What would it mean to inculturate Schoenstatt in India? I would say, quite generally, following the guideline of our father and founder, who said that inculturation is if the Schoenstatt spirituality has really gone to the heart of a native. Then I would draw the following conclusion first. That means some Indian brothers, Indian people, first of all, would have to try to fully embody in themselves the Schoenstatt spirituality. Among these, I would say, you'd have to give preference to those who have a little bit of an independent mind, who at the same time can reflect about it, who do not only copy, who not only follow, who not only go along, but rather those who really assimilate it. Assimilated is a work which I do myself. Now, these people, if they fully adopt Schoenstatt, then they can inculturate. And that fully adopting of Schoenstatt includes, of course, that first I have to swallow the thing as it comes to me. See? That means the danger that if I don't swallow the whole thing and immediately start trying to inculturate, the danger that I select and leave out things which I don't like is very great. So I believe at the beginning I really would have to take the Schoenstatt as it comes to me. Also in the cloth and in the tradition of the culture where it comes from. See, that, for instance, why we decided that the first vocations they study in Germany, later on they don't. That so and so many have to learn the German language in order to get into the feeling of the whole thing, which later on might not be so necessary, but at the beginning it is necessary. See? And at the beginning this Schoenstatt comes also with certain ways of doing which are German. I'd have to first accept them. After I have accepted them, and then I become active myself and say, now I'm going to announce this Schoenstatt and bring this Schoenstatt to my country. There it is important that we leave freedom and that we allow time. That we leave freedom, that means now we'll have to see how this whole thing sits and does go. And we'll have to allow time and struggle. And there is an in-between which for both sides have to be struggled. I make a few examples. For instance, we have for all our institutes the pedagogic educational system of the spiritual daily order and a particular exam. See. Now, the Latin Americans at the beginning, they said, well, this is German. It's not our culture. We don't do it. See. The same thing might be here, that we say, the German, they are so orderly and everything, they have a good mind of keeping spiritual daily order, but this is not Indian. Okay. There, for instance, is a point where you have to struggle. I'm not saying that it has to be done as the Germans did it, with booklet or so. Okay. If someone is creative and does do it differently, fine. I remember that our father, when he defended the system, he said, well, you need a system. If someone knows a better one, another one, then let's see. But as long as we don't have anything else, then let's stay with it. The principle behind is that Father adopted such a system, not only because it came from Germany, I don't even know whether it came from Germany. I only know that, for instance, someone like Abraham Lincoln in the United States, he had a spiritual daily order. He invented it himself because he found it helpful to organize his life. See? You have, meanwhile, in business, you have some kind of things of scheduling your day quite clearly, which assembles spiritual daily order on the spiritual level. So there it is. It's not typically German at all. The principle of our Father behind is that we are an order or religious community in the world, our lay people. And therefore, they need something that secures their spiritual life in their daily life with a lot or with as much flexibility as possible. This led to the spiritual daily order, the particular exam, which is special resolution, which is common in Christian tradition, any place. It needs no inculturation, because everybody who is striving will do a similar thing like that. Okay, spiritual daily order. Here in India, we have difficulties with bringing our free communities good to function, or we have difficulties with currents. That, for instance, I'm very pleased to see that independent of let's say, someone like myself, that several of our Indian fathers came and said, this we have to conquer. It's difficult, but we have to conquer. That I would say, they grasped the principle that this is necessary for being a movement. And therefore, even if it's not in our, let's say, in our Catholic culture, because our Catholic culture is very much determined by doing acts, by doing things. See, it's very much by the forms. We are very much defined by the forms. Now, current is something which is not defined by the forms, but by an idea which is inspiring, which makes me association, which makes me creative. It's a very essential element of movement. If we don't have that, we become a religious institution, and we don't stay a movement. So this is something that the culture will have to conquer, so to speak. And as it conquers, it might find different forms. I don't know how we keep it alive. We'll have to find out how in India keep alive a current. See? Maybe it's insufficient to say we make resolutions, then it doesn't work, then we have to find something else. We have to be more reminded, we need more visual aids or whatever. That can be different. But this, I would say, is an element of inculturation. Now in Kerala, having made good experiences with camp of youth, they made camp. Of course, they don't do it with tents, because this cannot be done here, because it's not there, tents don't exist, it's not common. So they make a modification. They make a modification in the forest where they are during the day, and then they go into houses to sleep. I would say this is a nice attempt of a good experience of something, to transfer it and to do it in our society, how it works. And if we find out that it doesn't work, then do something else. It's whatever has been good, and whatever I noticed and have experienced, I'll try to adapt it to the situation in which we are. Very clearly, inculturation, where we are very good, is on the whole area of decoration and of art, and also of music. See, so many songs. We also sing a couple of songs of German origin, but normally all the songs we sing are our songs. We have made them, they are composed, they are Indian music, although that is changing. Indian music and Western music, they all fuse more and more together. But okay, in this field, we inculturate. See, for instance, I think that we have, I know no country which has so many melodies in different languages of My Queen, My Mother as we have. This is inculturation in a wonderful way. See, you have the prayer, you leave the prayer, and you put it into the meaning and mentality of the country in which you are. See? And normally, the best inculturation is always if you have an element from the tradition where it comes from, and fuse it with elements of the country where you go to. It becomes creative. Let me make two examples quickly. For instance, medicine. now outside of Schoenstatt, medicine. Our medicine in the West has tremendous capacity and tremendous fallacy. Actually, our medicine in the West is mechanistic. It's too much specialized in chemically influencing the body, and too much specialized in operating and cutting out and everything. And often the medicine treats an organ but doesn't treat the person. The Indian medicine has a wonderful organic way of beginning. Ayurveda, looking at the whole person, trying more to see the interdependence of the functions in the body and so forth. But of course, in quick aid or in quick help or in something, it might be not as quick and efficient. I would picture that there should be a medicine which takes elements from both, as a fusion, which probably our hospitals here partly already offer and have, I would say. Then you have Ayurvedic treatment, and at the same time you have the instruments of the Western medicine to investigate, to find out, and what have you. In case of need, you also make an operation. That is, in my thinking, inculturation. Let's go to another field as an example. Marriage. Indian tradition is arranged marriage. We have to be realistic. Arranged marriage in the old way, sooner or later, will not function anymore. Because our youth is much more individual, is much more out for personal relationship, is much more out for looking for their own partnership. If they study, they are the university, whatever it is. Our media, they propagate, even if they don't mean it, they propagate love marriage. In all new movies, they fall in love and afterwards they get married. That's the thing. So that sets norms. So the arranged marriage, that the parents look for the right partner of their children, afterwards they marry what they're given to by the parents, is no solution. On the other hand, in the West, love marriage, as we practice it, is a catastrophe. That means there's so many wrong mistakes, there's so little criteria to do the things right. That often love is confused with sexuality only, or with romantic love, and not really critically look at things. Inculturation, to my thinking, would be that you fuse these things. In good Indian families, I've observed it already happens. That the parents are there, that the consent of the parents is important, but that the parents also respect the wishes of the children. Of course, the economic question, the financial question, less and less should be influential. That is still a problem as far as Indian marriage is concerned. Also the caste question is still there. But if you allow the individual that they go for a partner, but then make themselves dependent on the parents, which I wish that the West would have, that it more listen to the parents, because sometimes the parents see better of whether the relationship is good or is not good. There, I would say, this would be inculturation. We would come to a model where the valuable aspects from both sides come to some kind of a good fusion. That would inculturate in our family movement, for instance. I would go for educating parents to do that. Not say modern time is individual choice, and you have to give the children the freedom to do what they want or so. I wouldn't. I would say feel responsible, accompany them, but accompany them to serve them, and not follow your own interests, not see this is a better party because there is more money coming or something like this, but rather respect that they should love each other, and they should love each other in partnership, and therefore with this I serve, but I help them. Then it would be a combination like this. Educational work like this would be a true and good inculturation. Just to give you two examples.